In the 18th century, the Scottish coastline was shrouded in darkness until one family came along to change all that. My name's Henry Winstanley, a 17th century lighthouse engineer and gent, and today we're talking about Born in 1772, Robert Stevenson would become the first in a remarkable dynasty of engineers who transformed Scotland's coastline. Across more than 150 years, the Stevenson family would go on to design and build over 90 lighthouses, creating one of the greatest engineering legacies in British history. I do want to apologise for not being able to find individual photos of all the family, including Jean Smith, Robert's wife and stepsister. Stevenson's career began at a time when Scotland's seas were among the most dangerous in Europe. Countless ships were wrecked on hidden reefs and ragged coastlines, and the lighthouses were desperately needed. From 1808 until 1842, during his tenure as engineer to the Northern Lighthouse Board, Robert oversaw the construction and improvement of at least 15 major lighthouses. His most famous achievement was undoubtedly Bell Rock Lighthouse, a lighthouse built on a reef that disappeared beneath the sea for most of every day. Many believed it could never be done, yet Stevenson succeeded in creating one of the greatest engineering marvels of the 19th century. His influence stretched far beyond Scotland. Lighthouses in Ireland and throughout the British colonies used lighting systems developed under his supervision, and he pioneered intermittent and flashing lights that allowed sailors to distinguish one lighthouse from another at sea, lighthouse characteristics which are still in use today. For these innovations, he was awarded a gold medal by the King of the Netherlands. But Stevenson's career was also marked by extraordinary danger and very good luck. In 1794, when returning from Orkney aboard the sloop Elizabeth of Stromness, he happened to leave the vessel early and row ashore. Shortly afterwards, a violent storm struck, and the ship sank with the loss of everyone still aboard. On another occasion, while working on Bell Rock, one of the crew boats drifted away before all the workers had evacuated the reef. As the tide began to rise, it seemed inevitable that several men would be stranded and drown. By pure chance, a passing pilot boat arrived carrying mail for Stevenson, rescuing the stranded crew just in time. Somehow, he survived all this, and his children took up the lighthouse mantle. Robert Stevenson's three sons, Alan, David, and Thomas, inherited their father's profession. Together, the three brothers will build a total of 74 lighthouses between them, expanding the family legacy far beyond even Robert's achievements. Special shout out to Robert's daughter Jane here as well. Aside of the times that she couldn't get involved with lighthouse engineering, however, she illustrated the Bell Rock Lighthouse, and her illustrations appear in Alan Stevenson's biography of his father. Among them, Alan Stevenson became best known for constructing some of Scotland's most dramatic remote lighthouses, including the towering Fraserburgh Lighthouse. Built on a wave-battered reef far out in the Atlantic, Fraserburgh was considered one of the most difficult lighthouse projects ever attempted. The conditions were brutal, with storms frequently halting work for weeks at a time, yet Alan succeeded in building what many still regard as Scotland's most beautiful lighthouse. David Stevenson was a prolific engineer responsible for 32 lighthouses. He also helped modernise lighthouse technology, improving optics and engineering techniques that would influence lighthouse construction across Britain. Meanwhile, Thomas Stevenson focused heavily on scientific innovation. Fascinated by the power of waves and coastal weather, Thomas carried out groundbreaking research into wave dynamics and lighthouse safety, helping engineers better understand the seas they were working against. Together, the Stevenson brothers turned lighthouse engineering into something close to a family industry. Their structures appeared all around Scotland's coast, guiding ships safely through some of the most treacherous waters in the world. By the mid-19th century, the Stevenson name had become synonymous with lighthouse engineering itself. By the time the next generation arrived, the Stevensons had already become Scotland's first family of lighthouse engineering. Robert Stevenson's grandsons continued the tradition, though perhaps none became more famous than Robert Louis Stevenson. Before he became a celebrated author, Robert was expected to join the family profession and even studied engineering at Edinburgh. As a young man, he visited lighthouse sites with his father and uncles, experiencing firsthand the harsh conditions and isolation that defined his family's work. Although he eventually abandoned engineering for writing, the influence of the lighthouse world never truly left him. The dangerous seas and Scottish coastlines that surrounded his childhood would later inspire the atmosphere of many of his stories. Treasure Island carries traces of the adventurous maritime world he grew up around. Other Stevenson descendants continued working in engineering and lighthouse administration, extending the family's connection with the Northern Lighthouse Board well into the late 19th century. Few families have ever shaped a nation's coastline so completely. For over a century and a half, the Stevensons dedicated themselves to protecting sailors from Scotland's waters, leaving behind a chain of lights that still stretch around the country today. Today, many of Scotland's lighthouses remain standing exactly where the Stevensons built them. Though modern GPS and navigation systems have changed the role of lighthouses, these towers still serve as powerful symbols of Scotland's maritime history and of the generations of engineers who risked their lives to build them. Some lighthouses are now fully automated, while others have become museums, visitor attractions, or holiday cottages. Structures like Belrock Lighthouse and Skerrival Lighthouse remain extraordinary reminders of what human ingenuity can achieve.